Okay, greetings everybody. This Bhandara of my master, Mr. Ishwar Puri. Thanks for coming. Yesterday we had organized some private meetings with Mr. Cesariji. I can see a few people here that were there yesterday. Yeah, I just got sprung to do this right now, so I haven't prepared anything, so I have no idea what I'm going to say. But today we do this with loving memory of Mr. Ishwar Puri. I was very fortunate to meet him in 2014. And yesterday I was talking to a few fellow satsangis about the time meeting him. And for me, my memory always goes back to the first time we were face to face, eye to eye. And just that connection, instant connection I had with him, looking at him, like words can't describe what that experience is like to meet somebody like he was and he still is inside us. This path is it's an individual path. It's not about finding something outside. It's about this connection with who you really are. And when you meet a perfect living master, he connects with you to his soul. And yeah, they say that all karma is erased at that point. So yeah, here we are now. If you have been initiated, you're one of the lucky ones. Mr. Puri, he was pure love. The way he carried himself and dealt with people, he always, in my experience, just showed unconditional love. And so it's hard to talk about him because yeah, there's really no words to describe that experience. Yeah, Pranay, what should we say?
I'm on the same boat as you. So what we could possibly do is we can ask anyone else who's present here with us to share. I mean, Prashant and I think Jayalakshmi too have been initiated by Mr. Puri. So if they do have something to share, if they don't mind. Sarvanan.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. This is my first meeting with the group, so very happy to meet every one of you. I'm Prashant, and my wife Jayalakshmi. She couldn't join. That's because we had the personal interview running up to 4:30 a.m. our local time yesterday, and she just couldn't stand up to this time today. Yeah, so as far as our experience with Ishwarji is concerned, so I met Ishwarji first. I was in the US for a year, and this was in 2018. Yeah, 18. I went to the US. So 2019. Menominee, the workshop, that's when I met him first. I got to know him just like many others, through the YouTube videos. Uh, I was looking for some sort of spiritual insight. So I used to regularly go through videos, YouTube videos by different spiritual masters. Um, but then, suddenly this video popped up as an auto suggestion, and it instantly attracted me because, here was someone who had a very nice cap, was well dressed, there was a tie, uh, impeccably dressed. So the picture instantly attracted me, uh, uh, because that's quite different from a normal spiritual leader's or a spiritual discourse, appearance. And I heard it. I still remember it was about eat less, uh, you know, sleep less, and meditate more. Uh, and from that video, it went on to another one, and from that to another. And in a couple of months, I got really uh, I got so much interested in his videos that I decided to go and meet him on my last trip to the US. And I went there, and it was the Menominee um, meditation workshop. And I had no clue that there'll be so many people out there, because I had only seen his face in the video and nothing else. I didn't know about Isha. I didn't know about. In fact, I didn't even know about Sant Mat or Vyas. The lineage. Nothing. I just went there, and then I got surprised by the number of people, and the love that flowed from him. And I got initiated in the same venue. And thereafter, he came to Dubai, so we went there to meet him. Uh, and I got a 2-minute personal interview with him. And then in 2020 February, when he came to Mumbai, my wife got initiated, and that was his last trip to India. And thereafter, the COVID lockdown started, and I don't think he traveled anywhere else. Yeah, so that's been our journey, and yeah, we didn't get to see him much in physical form, as as many satsangis uh, have got the chance to be with him for many years. Uh, we got to see him for probably 2 or 3 times, but yes, those memories still uh, are very fresh in our minds. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing, Prashant. I do remember seeing you somewhere, most likely in Dubai, I guess, very briefly. Um, uh, but yeah, nice
Oh,
to
okay.
see you.
Nice meeting you.
Regarding Ishwar Puri Sant Mat, uh, how it all started. In fact, it was um, it was on this day 2 years ago, a day before, with regard to 22nd. Sujay was a and Gracie were private guests of Mr. Puri in for his India trip in 2019. We didn't know that at the time. We exchanged pleasantries. A few things happened, and we kept in touch. Uh, uh, we were just saying hi, hello to each other through WhatsApp and the few other ways which we can keep online with friends across the borders. So it was, I guess, on the 22nd morning or evening, Cesariji just called me up, and uh, I mean, by the time a couple of days earlier, he received a private message from a private person, and said Master's getting better and everything seems good. But that particular call, he said, Pranay, I mean, just like a slight hint, Pranay, we gotta be prepared for what's gonna come. I think tomorrow, or if I remember, I can't phonetically remember the exact words. But but there was a slight hunch as to the wrapping up of the. I mean, my idea of wrapping up may be different from someone else's, but that would mean leaving the body. So the next day, I get a message, um, and it happens to be the 23rd December 2020, which we celebrate as the Bhandara. A month goes by, and Zari I didn't know Nick at the time, Nick and Lena from Australia. Get a message saying a message from Suzari ji saying there's this friend from US who lives in the Midwest. I believe that doctors, I'd like to keep their names private, who'd wanted to have a satsang, and he said he said um, he thought this was a little he thought this would come a little later than usual, but if this is the Moj, this is the Moj. Uh, can you get in touch with her to he and she to organize or just have this meeting on Google Talks or Zoom, which was a 40-minute free to air an arrangement. So this was just the three of us or five of us at the time, and it so happened that the person who organized that the first meeting, on the premise that there were so many groups meeting at that point in time, and that particular person wanted, I think, Cesariji to have a conversation. Until then, he was giving one-on-one or just speaking to a few of us, just one-on-one basis. So that was the first satsang. I guess it was January or February 2021. That it so happened that the person who organized the Zoom meeting said we couldn't, he and she couldn't do this, and the module was to continue either on WhatsApp or do it on Zoom. So we've decided that to continue on Zoom. So we had this thing, and we registered the website. This is not an organization. But it requires a structure to form a mold. And so what next? I mean, to be really honest, this doing anything in this sense also affects, as an individual, for me personally, affects personally spirituality on the line, because a lot has been said. We are very private individuals. I mean, personally, I don't speak about it outside when it comes to work. And doing something, possibly I wouldn't do anything that I don't completely believe in. I mean, in that sense, I wouldn't have asked Mr. Puri for initiation unless there is something. I mean, that's a different story. But then we registered the website. For some reason, a week later, there was an offer to buy the website by some anonymous person, and the Ishwar Puri Sant Mat, the name Ishwar Puri Sant Mat. I'm a civil engineer, and I have no idea how web designing works. So I suggested that Cesariji was asking what can be done since the website has already been registered. To which he said we may have to pay 15 to 20,000 rupees to a designer in Bangalore, perhaps, who would design a couple of things for us. And he said, okay, we can speak about it. The next day, Suzaiji sends me a message saying Nick and Lina are artists, gives a brief introduction about them. And of course, he had spoken about them a little while before in brief. He keeps conversations very private, one-on-one. He doesn't. So not much was said. He said that these two are artists, and Lina is an artist. Nick has an idea of how to work with these online tools, and he has offered to do it for free, and that was nice. So Nick had this server. I mean, the technical stuff which I don't know about, which I pick up on sometimes. So the first draft of the website was done, and it was very specific. To be really honest, the mission statement was word to word, not altered. It was word to word given by Suzaiji from within. I mean, not even a single full stop was changed. It was written down. It was phonetically conveyed to Nick on print. So everything had a bearing of an oversight by Suzaiji and Gracie in that sense. So the website was out, and we met as 4 or 5 people. We had friends come in very early from China. It was remarkable. It was a fair understanding for me personally, because my interaction with Ishwar Puri ji was between 2019 and 20. It gave me a fresh perspective since about China, because they were very candid about a few things that happened there. They came earlier on, in, I guess, March to 2021, and people came in and went out. It was a very small group. Even now, it's a small group. But we had this discussion, Nick, Suzaiji, and ourselves. I mean, individually, is it worthwhile? I mean, not me. I'm just I'm the messenger here. We send out an email. Answer to email. I mean, so I have no other role other than just correspondence in this case. So there were times when we had this discussion, and said even this path. In the end, it was Suzaiji who mentioned the mission statement. I mean, not just the mission statement. The Sant Mat, according to Mr. Puri, is for the path of the truth, the true. What is the seekers of the ultimate truth? Whether, however we interpret it, being self-realization against God-realization. What exactly is self? What exactly is God-realization? I mean, we've read from very, very impressive writings from Sant Mat, original literatures, going back to Rai Saligram, Swamiji of Agra, Dayal Bagh. I mean, even today, the material, if we had to read it, is immense. If the Saad Bachan of Dayal Bagh by itself has retained what was written in 1900s. I mean, that's my take on it, personal take on it. But he said, even if there was one seeker, the seeker being the seeker searching for the ultimate truth. Now, Ishwar Ji was a speaker of. He started an organization from Harvard University, which goes by a particular name. So we are all initiated. The people who are initiated are initiated. It's always nice to meet people who are initiated. His question, he then asked me, what about the people who are not? There's nothing out there, Pranay, that caters to the new seekers. There's nothing, and unless there is a merge within the organization, there's little other than memorabilia, and it's like me speaking right now in memory of Master. But what can be done to the soul who's a seeker, a new seeker, who has by some coincidence come across a video or a story or a script of Mr. Puri, who happens to be my master, and that actually got me thinking. And of course, because we're putting ourselves on the line. I mean, I put when initially, because we're talking about faith. I mean, I was talking to Nick yesterday, and between the private meetings, we had time. We had a discussion on faith and blind faith. We cannot have blind faith. This is my experience being, unless there's an experience within, we cannot have faith in the PLM. The PLM at some point, or initially, either the first darshan or drishti, or some point within the span of having being in his presence, without the experience or some sort of an experience, we cannot have a next level kind of a faith, or the faith which we come to perceive as a blind faith, or what there should be something else to it. If this is what we have experienced so far, there should be something else to it. So this this was this happened in the middle of 2021. We had at that point in time, of course, if you had seen social media, there were a lot of people who had claimed to be speaking on behalf of Ishwar Puri and Mr. Puri, basically. And personally, in my opinion, anyone who signs off in the name of Mr. Puri is basically, this is my personal opinion, who signs off in the name of my master claims to have some sort of spiritual insight. In that sense, when Mr. Puri signed off, not all the emails or not all the correspondences, he did say, "I give you my love and great master's blessing." So he did say it with authority, and without a doubt, he did have authority. No doubt about that. So now that person happens to be my master, Mr. Puri, but now, and any other individual after Mr. Puri speaking on the name, taking Ishwar Puriji's name, it would imply certain things. So that this is my personal opinion. So so the mind. So we had this discussion. So within the satsang right now, where we're speaking right now, we had this. We spoke about it, and he said this is still part of the mind. The satsangs which we sit here, and we all gathered here. I would have preferred it being live as much as possible. We've seen Ishwarji on YouTube, but there's nothing compared to a live satsang. The company within meeting the master, while we in the presence of the master, the things that it does within ourselves individually. I mean, each one has our own experiences when it comes to being with the master. Um, so this was a discussion 2021. Um, even if we're speaking, even if it's not palatable, if people are not going to, if what Sizaiji is mentioning, that even people do not okay with what I say, I'm paraphrasing it. I'm not saying the exact words correctly, but we need to speak the truth. And he also mentioned that in yeah, I mean, I'll leave that aside in this public platform. But it's always been a small group. It's we who are the initiate. Some of us who are initiated have a sense of peace at the same time, and the mind has questions. Um, Questions are part of the mind, is what Suzaiji had mentioned, and Ishwar Puri ji had mentioned in that sense. So yeah, I'm not sure if Suzaiji has joined us because
Yeah, Prano, I got an update. I just removed
yeah.
Spotlight. He said he's going to be he said for us to take the first hour and then have a break, and then he'll come after the break, so we can continue just sharing stories between each
How long
other.
has it been though?
It's been half an hour.
That's it.
But do you want me to say some more?
All right. I'll just finish off the Ishwar Puri Sanmat and
Yeah.
just for 2021, we right in the middle um, decided um, as an organization we um, it was easy as an I mean not a formal organization as Ishwar Puri Sanmat. It was easy to not as the organization, not the organization. Um, we we do not very consciously. This is a personal experience where it was easy to not take a call of the organization where because Mr. Puri personally told me a few things about the organization when he was alive. He'd mentioned a couple of times asked if I could do a few things for Isha, and he said no. I mean, in person. So that was easy for me to say, hey, the Moj is not to um, um, uh, not to do anything there. But in 2021, towards the middle, we had the first Bhandara. Right? This is the second Bhandara in 2021. We, I although it was in person, there was nobody in person, and there was just a handful of us and Nick, Lena, and a few friends online celebrating Bandara. And 2022, we've had a meeting each month, and this is the second Bandara. About funds, we don't collect any funds. Consciously being the pure. I mean, once an organization starts collecting funds, it's different. It's um, there's different accountability. I mean, I've seen a few things that has happened in front of my eyes in terms of other organizations in my own view. But we if you look at the page, we don't have any button saying, please donate here, please donate there, or uh, seva for money seva. I mean, nothing of that sort. So, um, with this, here we are, the second year. And so Nick, this is where you can come in and say something. Oh, we had the website changed, I guess, 4 months ago, if I'm not wrong, Nick.
The website. Oh yeah, we're
Yeah,
always updating it.
I mean, you're updating it. Yeah. So yeah, the chameli, the jasmine, the twin flowers have been rendered by Lina as I mean, of course, the ones who know what chameli, I mean, the story about chameli and Mr. Puri that know, and there's also a drawing, a portrait drawing of Mr. Puri by Nick, that which is also on the website.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's nice to share that love and keep Mr. Puri's love alive through our experience in this world. Obviously, his love is eternal. But yeah, we was talking yesterday, like the most important thing on this path is to have initiation. And so the question is, what is initiation? From the point of view of the mind can't understand what happens when you get initiation. And I'm happy to share kind of my experience. When I got initiated, it was actually I just begun a really busy time of work. So for like 2 months, I was probably working like 14, 15, 16 hours a day, traveling and sleeping just a few hours. So the instructions when you're initiated, we're told to try and meditate 2.5 hours a day. So it was suggested like an hour and a half in the morning, an hour at night. So I didn't actually have the time, or I couldn't find the time to start the meditation in the first few months after initiation. But when that worked kind of quite like I did the best I could. I really took it seriously. So I got up like very early in the morning and sat for an hour and a half and did the same at night time. And I did this for several months. And yeah, like obviously really seeking inside and at a point Mr. Puri said like a little secret he told us was you can live your life and devote everything to the master. So every work you do, everything, just see it as a gift from him and do every action in as a devotion for your love for him. So I actually had got moved to a kind of regional location and it was hard finding a bit of work. So I got a factory job, a very hands-on factory job working with timber. And it was most of the day I was operating between like 6 different tools. So it's very repetitious. Once you kind of got the muscle memory, you didn't have to think what you were doing. So I thought, okay, this is a great kind of meditation to do just all my work I'll do for the master, like he said. So all day I was just thinking about Mr. Puri and felt the love and thinking about all the experiences and this went on for a good time and it was almost like a challenge to the mind, like, okay, you're not going to get bored with this. It's a very simple task. Let's just 100% devote it to the master. And I was, yeah, in the meantime doing the meditation and still like wondering, oh, what's really happened. And then at work this one day, I was just getting really, really blissed out, like really, really happy, feeling the love. And then all of a sudden, it was like Mr. Puri was in front of me, but inside, Like like I told you the first time I saw him, the eyes, it was like that times infinite. And it's like, wow, that's it. Here's when you're initiated, it's that connection of love. And it's there. It's there, like beyond time. So I think that's like the most important for me. The most important part of this path is to meet someone like him and him connect you with that source of love, pure love, unconditional love. Yeah, so I'm telling you this story just because obviously everybody's on their own journey, but it's kind of hopefully encouraging for people to look inside, and that's I think really what this path is about, is to experience that love inside. And yes, you can, there's different levels and experiences, but the my understanding is that it's that pure love is what we're seeking, and the mind can't understand that. But yeah, so yeah, that's yeah. And Mr. Puri, he was always, like I said earlier, just radiated that love, caring. Um, yeah, yeah. We just
Talking
so
about initiation, initiation is someone. I mean, this is my understanding of initiation by a PLM, perfect living master, or the master with the power of Namdan, not just anybody with the power of Namdan, if I'm not mistaken. But um, all of us have met a lot of people or masters or gurus, or I mean, each one's got their own experience. But to be, I mean, I wouldn't know, knowing what goes along with the physical body that undertakes such a task. If some of us had an experience apart from um, witnessing our own or being present in our own initiation, that's the formal ceremony. If you had witnessed as someone as an outsider for someone else's initiation, I'm talking about Mr. Puri's initiation, or Mr. Puri initiating people or giving them the great master's initiation. He, without a doubt, there was authority. Absolute. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Nick mentioned the mind can't understand. It's not what we understand. I mean, I personally don't understand, but that bit, without a doubt, that it was a real deal. Um, at least that the consciousness bearing that it's not faith, but the initiation by Mr. Puri. So it comes to a point, what next? Where has where the Namdan? I mean, that's a factor. So that also has a, a bearing on the individual's growth and a few other things. I'd like Sarvanan, if you have something else to share. Are you online?
Yes, I'm online. Hi, everyone. That's from me. Yeah, on the topic of initiation, I can say that once you have been initiated, Master takes over everything. And I remember asking him a question when you go for initiation selection, where he asked you if you want initiation, and I asked him this: so, are you gonna bring me back home? And like what Pranay said, he answers with authority, and he said this: it's all the way with me and my master. and usually I think in most of your during your the session where he describes the meditation technique, I'm sure he would have repeated that as well, that he's going to be your friend forever. And I think that is the most important part, and this is the part of love actually. Once you're in the care of a perfect living master, I think your job ends right there. Nothing else matters actually. So in my own experience, I mean, I didn't have a lot of time with Mr. Puri as well. I met him in 2014 as well, same as Nick actually. That's when I was actually coming back from Australia, and I was moving back to Singapore, and it's as if the whole show was already set up. Me coming back to Singapore and him coming to Singapore for an event, everything just tied in together. It was a bit strange as well because it was the Singapore event was on the day of my engagement, so I had to come in halfway, and I was almost gonna skip out the first part of my engagement the next day to attend the second day of the event. Of course, I had to concede to my parents because they were kind of giving me this look at like Indian movies where the bridegroom usually runs away just before the wedding or the engagement kind of look. So yep, and then the first time when I met him, I think I've said this before that I sat at the back of the entire room. I'm a very introvert person, so I kind of sit at the back of the classroom or whether it's a lecture theater or performance. I'm usually right at the back, and everybody, every single one in that room was sitting in the front row, trying to fight for the front row, and there was this huge empty space at the back, and I was the only one sitting there, and I just couldn't figure why is everybody kind of like trying to sit in front, but it's only much later on I actually kind of understood why everybody did that anyway, And of course, when I first saw, I think somebody earlier said that, Mr. Puri isn't your conventional guru. He doesn't look, he comes in very smartly dressed and everything. And of course, and I was looking, where are his Tasha beads, prayer beads? Where he speaks really good English as well. He's got a coat on. And I was trying to figure out who he was, because I never really understood who I was dealing with. And the first time I saw him, I knew there was something special about him. It was a recognition. It's something really hard to describe, but I'm glad that thing actually happened, and the rest was history. Eventually, I got initiated in 2016 at Rice Lake during the Bhandara event. So if you ask me about Mr. Puri, what sets him really apart, what really what do you call it, disarmed me was his humility. He was extremely humble. If I'm not sure if some of you have actually seen other gurus, or you have never seen a guru come on stage and make sure he greets every single one, looking at everybody before he actually sits down or continues his talk. So that actually took me by surprise, and I was like, wow, okay, this is really different. I mean, this is super different. If you look at other gurus, they just walk in and then they sit down, and everybody else starts to sit down, and they have a aura of being important or feeling important in the room. And here was this person that was the complete opposite, and I'm like, is he really a guru and something like that? And I tried to be smart. When I went to the personal interview, my first personal interview, and I asked him, I want to go home. So with I was expecting him to respond like any other guru. Oh, no worries, I'll bring you back home. This is your last life and all this thing. And then he just looks straight at me, and then he just said, "Yes, we all want to go home." and that completely disarmed me. And that from then on, I didn't know what to say in the interview, because after that he started speaking. There was a short pause, and I just looked at him smiling. I was just completely, I just didn't know what to say after that, because he just totally disarmed me at that point, because I thought I could get something off him. And, there's this usual, it's a very human feeling that you go in asking something that you actually want, and and when you get something, you actually kind of feel, okay, yes, I feel a bit important now. I feel a bit wanted and everything. But he didn't do that. But he did something. He made sure I came back, because he said, uh, "You're a good candidate for this Surabchak yoga." And I had no idea what Surabchak yoga. I mean, just like some of you, no idea what Sanmat was, no idea what Radha Swami was, what Bias, and all of this thing. And I think I've mentioned this before. The first thing I went out, and I thought, oh, maybe I should get initiated. And I started looking for the counter to pay for initiation. Where most other groups usually would have a person, doing the registration, and then you have your course fees, and what kind of meditation you're supposed to do. And it was a bit of a shock. And then they told me, you will need to ask him, and he needs to agree, or he needs to accept you before you get initiated, and there is no cost available. And it was something really alien to me, because that's something I never really experienced before. And for the first time, I actually felt fear of getting rejected by a guru or whatever system. You're gonna go ask for initiation, and usually when there's no money involved, when there's money involved, usually most of the time you're gonna get what you want, as long as you paid the money. So this experience with Mr. Puri was actually very, very different for me, and I would say he is the most humble person that I've ever seen anywhere in my life.
Well, thank you, Sarvanan.
Thanks.
Yeah, so now Sarvanan was mentioning the price for initiation. There's no price. The monetary price is different from. This is something we shared amongst ourselves, I guess, in a very small group much earlier. Was when we go in front of a PLM, some of us know who we are dealing with, some of us we don't. Are we paying a price? Is there a spiritual price to it? That was a very interesting question. Similarly, there was an understanding that the PLM is different from the so-called Kal Niranjan. Some of us have an understanding that Kal and Akal are embodiment within one person. So it depends on the stage of the seeker, the master being the mirror of the seeker, disciple in front. So seeing this, I like everybody else here, had a very short time with Mr. Puri, and seeing a little bit of this and how he handled these people. So the question being, is there a spiritual price we pay within while we stand in front of Satpurush himself, being a PLM? And the mind will not know about it. Yes, there is a spiritual price. Do we know about it? No. So that's my understanding of it, and the spiritual price can be tied in with. Again, we use the word karma and words here. So this was a very serious. I mean, this was an interesting conversation we had with a small group amongst us, because when we ask Master, I mean, when we're standing in front of the living Master, not. I mean, even if you're the living Master, when you're asking him a particular question, you he he has the power of, I mean, lack of a better word, the nine worlds in the palm of his hands. That's what one of the songs mentioned. We are asking for, I mean, this is an experience of, I was given the seva of organizing private group meetings of 5 people at a time, with a group of people allowed into a circular table with Mr. Puri seated, fixed for half an hour or 1 hour duration. So a group is sent in 3 minutes each to ask their private personal questions. And I was going in and out of the room. It was about time, and mentioning to Mr. Puri about basically instructions of what was given to me. And there was this 5 ladies from Rajasthan who had very traditional attire, beautiful saris, very rustic women. It was very uncanny to see them in a Delhi 2-3 star hotel. I don't remember the name, where we had this satsang in the basement, and sorry, the group satsang and the meetings in the basement. And there was this, I mean, several people were around, and these 5 ladies had no questions regarding the material world, the physical world. They had no requests worldly about the houses they want to make. Must come to my house, build my house. I want this. I want my daughter to get married. I mean, none of those questions. Their one statement, they just said, "I want this to be my last life." And I was looking at Mr. Puri, and his face changed. His features changed. His facial expression became more red. He gave a quaint little smile, and he smiled, looked at them. He looked at them for a few seconds, and he nodded his head, smiled. And we have all sat in satsangs and heard Master speak about acceleration of karma, writing off of karma, or list A, B, C. So at that moment in time, witnessing this, in a sense, I was just asking myself, what price do these ladies, or 3 to 5 ladies, have to pay for such a request? And I would personally not know, but the Master would know. So there's no monetary price, but when we are standing in front of a PLM, there's definitely a price we are all going to pay, and for our own good. I mean, that's where the faith comes in. And we have heard stories where it's a thin line. Master is all about love, unconditional love, but it's got its own some of the limitations, where we have heard literature where it's said that if an initiate, or if a person does not, if there is another devotee, an honest seeker, who wishes to seek a meeting with a PLM, a perfect living master of the time, whoever it is, and if a disciple working in an organization or a person close to a PLM does come in the way, or does not granted or says it needs to wait some more. I mean, not facilitating easily. Even the PLM will not forgive such a person. Now, what does that entail? I mean, only a master would know. So, I mean, to be fair, there is the master, the creator, the Satpurush, and for me, or beyond that, Mr. Puri is all put together in one. Kal. To, I mean, he's coined the word totality of consciousness as one. We have to be careful who we are dealing with. I mean, spirituality is on the line. I mean, he can grant such. I mean, after granting such, I mean, this is my knowledge. Of course, nothing can be taken away, but he's still the PLM. He's the only person with the Moj. He's the only person with Namdan. So that's. Nick, are we done?